But then, so many more came along later,
What about Richard Davis?
Richard
came along. Richard.
Yeah, Richard, he came along.
Richard was one of our
Richard
favorite
and
ones,
Jimmy
too.
Kingsley actually drove from Memphis to California,
Following Elvis.
following Elvis, just to get a chance to.
Just to meet him.
Mhm,
Just to
Okay.
just to be able to meet him.
And they got the chance to meet him, and believe
They
it or
got
not,
hired.
He hired both of them.
Really?
And-
That was on Bellagio Road. I
Yeah.
remember.
They left. I mean, they were here.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then they just
When
followed
Elvis
along.
went out, they
Uh-huh.
went to. They followed along, and you talking about a character too. Richard Davis.
Did
was a
y'all
character.
know it, or did he? I mean,
But we already knew. They knew him before
Yeah.
he followed.
Yeah.
He just.
I know, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. Did y'all know they were following?
No.
And when did y'all finally find out? Like once you got to California?
when they came,
They
they
come
came
up
up to the house,
begging
out there,
them.
get in,
Get in, see him.
How did y'all know them
from Memphis.
from Memphis?
Yeah.
I mean, how did
Go
y'all?
to the movies and go to the fairgrounds
Okay,
and stuff
so they
like
were
that.
they were Elvis fans.
Yeah.
That
But-
did that and then went to okay. I didn't know
That's
that.
interesting. I'm glad you
That
brought
is
that up.
interesting.
Yeah.
And he hired
Richard was,
both,
yeah. We
Out in
were always
California.
close to Richard. We used to
Oh,
go
yeah,
cross country,
gosh, yeah.
me, Billy, and Richard, a lot of times, and Danny and Joey would drive the cars back.
Yeah.
Richard would drive one, and Richard was funny as he could be, and him and Billy together. I mean, there is no telling what's that matter. They're the ones that got off the top of the Pippin and let it go down, and and Elvis, and when he came back up, when he came back down, they were gone. Scared the guy half to death. that was
Wimpy
running.
Adams.
Wimpy Adams.
Remember his name. Boy, he was white as a ghost.
Thought, he was
thought,
going.
oh God.
Well, speaking of Richard, we can give a big congratulations to one of his triplets, Dylan.
Really?
He just recently graduated from the University of Memphis.
Oh, I didn't know that, Dylan.
Yeah,
Dylan?
Kim had him on
Congratulations,
Facebook.
buddy. But I hadn't
Dylan
seen him in a while. It was a while.
And Brandon and Maddie.
Maddie and
Maddie and Brandon.
Brandon.
Yeah.
Brandon. Yeah.
Yeah, he graduated from University of
And-
Memphis just a couple of weeks ago. So.
I'll be darned. Richard was so proud of those kids.
Yeah, he
Richard.
was.
Richard had those three, the triplets, and then he had one other son from a previous marriage named Ronnie.
Okay.
And Ronnie was a little bit older than Danny.
He was
Okay.
married to a woman named Peggy.
Yeah, at that time.
Okay.
But his wife, Kim, she's the triplets' mother, Kim. And they look, all of them to me look a lot like Richard, but there's one of them that looks so much like Richard to me, and they look alike,
I want to say it's Dylan
Uh-huh.
that looks the most like Richard.
I think so, too.
I want to say, yeah. So, but anyway, you were talking about the Zip and Pip, and I just wanted to throw
Yeah,
that out
that's
there.
just they did all kind of things.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah,
Boy, Richard was in for anything,
in for anything.
Yeah,
Now he's the one that walked with you to the
The big
poker game where y'all
Yeah.
were watching for snakes and
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was on the way back.
That was on the way back.
It was-
Alan wouldn't go get them.
He took us,
He-
and it was daylight, when he took us, and boy, L.Q. Jones, he was,
Yeah.
supposed to, they would stand at
King's
hotel
Ransom.
in Sedona, Arizona.
Was it the King's Ransom?
No,
It was another one.
yeah, but I can't think of the name of it right off.
I know
But
the
we got
guys.
up there,
The guys that were with Elvis, the ones that didn't stay with us at the house, he leased or rented two houses,
Yeah.
and we stayed at one. Richard stayed at the one house with us, and the other guys would stay at the King's Ransom.
But
But L.Q. Jones was the one that invited y'all to the big poker game.
yeah, we got up there, and it was penny, nickel, and dime, and of course we had brought a fair amount of cash with us because we just knew we probably wouldn't. What we had, we probably weren't gonna be in that long anyway. But we stayed and played, and gosh, it got dark, and back in, in Arizona, it's hotter blue
Hades,
blazes,
Hades.
Hades, yeah, in the daytime.
And in the night
cold.
It's cold,
Night.
especially up in the mountain
So-
part.
They would take, you know, at nighttime, if you're on the road, don't be walking.
Watch out for snakes.
'Cause the snakes would crawl up on the
Lay on that
asphalt.
highway, yeah,
get warm.
to get
Yeah.
warm.
And that's all we needed to hear. 'Cause, you know, and he wouldn't come get us, boys, so Richard had a lighter because he smoked, and he'd light the lighter and we'd go down,
I had to walk.
walk, and, you know, ever so often light that lighter, make sure.
Mm-mm.
And of course, we could have kicked Alan's butt.
Yeah.
But since he was so much bigger than us, we
Decided not to.
Was he?
leave
Was
him.
Alan a bigger guy?
Oh, yeah, gosh.
I always
Alan was
thought Alan was a
wasn't
smaller
real
guy.
tall,
No.
but he was real
He was
broad.
real hot. Didn't Alan play for Vanderbilt football?
Yeah.
Football
Okay.
for
But
he
Vanderbilt
was,
in Nashville.
Believe me, he
He was real
stout,
stout.
Okay.
real strong. And
You know, you forgot about Chief too. Chief was one of the bigger guys too.
yeah,
Heavy
well,
set
Chief, what with me,
No, he brought your mom and daddy
yes,
down.
he did.
He-
I went with Elvis to Crystal River, Florida.
Right.
And my mom and daddy, you know, they'd never seen film, and Uncle Vernon and
D.
Dee and all were coming down, and so Daddy, he got, you know, Chief to drive them down, and Chief had been hanging around the gate a lot anyway, so anyway, he got to meet Elvis and got to talking, and Elvis hired Chief.
And-
Ray Sitton was his name.
So his daddy had to drive back.
Yeah.
So, what was Chief's real name?
Ray Sutton.
Ray Sutton. Okay.
Sutton, it was the Sutton or Sitton.
I'm thinking it was. I think it was Sitton.
Yeah, because I
I think
maybe
it was
used to
Sitton,
take
right.
he used to go take a sitz bath or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. But everybody called him Chief.
Yeah, just call him Chief.
He was I know when we first started to date, he used to drive you over to my house and come back and pick you up.
Yeah.
That's before Elvis gave you that car.
Yeah.
You know, after that got your driver's license and did it yourself.
Yeah.
Now, Chief is the one that Elvis was going to help him lose weight, but he was going and eating hamburgers.
No, that was Lamar, wasn't it? Or was no? That was Chief. That was Chief.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was Chief.
Okay.
Yeah, he wanted to lose weight, and Elvis said, "Well, I'll help you. You know, I'd tell you what. You know, you eat this, that, and come up here and do all this." Well, they couldn't figure out. He didn't
He
stop.
wasn't losing weight.
No, so one of the guys came in and they
After
said,
about 3 months.
"Yeah, after about 3 months, he hadn't lost
anything.
anything." And Elvis had come downstairs and had asked where had anybody seen Chief, and the guy, whichever one of them it was, said, "Yeah, I saw him up at the Frosty Top. He was getting a hamburger." And Elvis said, "Do what?" So that's what he was doing. He was going up there and eating, and then coming on down to Graceland.
Oh,
And
okay.
he said, "Yeah, I know why he hadn't lost any weight in 3 months now."
Boy,
That was just Chief.
Why was he called Chief?
I don't know.
Oh, they
It was
just
just a
give him the
nickname.
nickname. Yeah,
Chief.
yeah.
Who gave him? Did Elvis give him that nickname, or did he already have that nickname?
I don't know.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know
I
who
don't
gave
either.
him that nickname, but that's how it wound up.
And you also forgot about Hamburger James. James Colling.
Oh, I don't
People
know.
have asked about him. He wasn't there that long. He
No, I don't want to.
we don't.
He was.
He shouldn't have been there at all.
Uh,
And then Sam, Linda's brother, and Dick Grove, and Dave Hebler,
yeah.
and
Of course, you had, you know,
Ricky and
Ricky and
David,
David.
and Dean,
Dean the Compass. Yeah.
and
so many of them.
so many of them.
came along.
And Steve.
for- yeah. He didn't work for Elvis very long.
No, Steve didn't very long. He was a friend of Dean's.
Yeah.
But Sam and Dick did, and
Oh,
Dave and
oh,
Dave.
yeah.
We did a lot of things with them and their families too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They were
And of course, you know, that's just some that came along later, you know, that
Mhm.
were And all of them, you know, like I say, they all were considered Memphis Mafia.
And good friends. I mean,
Yeah.
and there was another one there too. What was the guy with the
David Leach.
David Leach? He wasn't there very long either. But there was some that would come and go fast. And
of course, one
we
of the-
forgot about one of the main ones too, Al Strada.
Yeah, I knew that's what it was.
Yeah, Al Strada. Al was a character.
Super nice guy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
He was a Vietnam veteran, and he used to tell me stuff about when he was in Vietnam. He said, I didn't want to leave my mama. I didn't want to go. But while he was in service, he saved every penny he had. And when he got out, he bought a house for his mother. I know every time Elvis would give, you know, something like cars or something like that, Al would go straight and, you know,
For his mom.
take care of his mother. He took care of his mother, and he had a brother. I think his brother's name was George, wasn't it?
I believe it was.
I believe it was. He was a real tall guy.
He was
real tall.
He was taller than
But-
Al. Al was very
Yeah,
tall. You
but
know.
Al was one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet. Really nice.
So what was that? Did everybody have their own particular job?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what was kind of, just in general, a breakdown of? I know you said that Joe was more of like the business side. Red and Sonny were bodyguard.
Bodyguard.
Okay.
And David.
And
Okay.
Dave.
And Ricky and Al, kind of like wardrobe.
Okay.
Billy was more like a companion, just, you know.
Pretty much whatever.
And a
Yeah.
little bit sometimes wardrobe in the early days, but in the later years. And he was also like co-foreman at home.
At home,
He
yeah.
made the schedules for everybody that came. Sam and Dick were bodyguards.
Bodyguard.
Dave, bodyguard. They all had their whatever we did. All of them joined in and
Yeah.
did it. But
I mean, even when they were back in Memphis, you know, and all,
Yeah.
they come up to the house, you know, and
it was like a big family,
yeah,
really.
it was, and Elvis's hours, you know, just, you know, gosh, it was, you know,
So different.
so different, right, you know, and God, you know, those guys, you know, they weren't always
Because most of them had kids and
yeah,
families,
easy,
and
you know,
yeah.
to do, because, but, you know, you had to do it. I mean, after all, Elvis was the boss, you know, and he, you know.
And you know that was your living. That was
Right,
what you.
yeah. If you couldn't handle it, you know, you had to go. So, you know, we had to learn to live his lifestyle.
And we still kind of do.
Yeah.
We're not.
Some of it, yeah.
We're not. Of course, it's different now. Just like we were talking about the other day. 60 years ago, I couldn't have seen us on the front porch sitting in the swing watching birds.
Out in the country.
Out in the country. That was not our style. Ours was living on the edge.
Yeah. But that pretty much, I think, takes care of the guys and all. Dean, you know, of course, that was
Dr. Nick's son. And Dr. Nick traveled too.
Yeah, and Dean was a really super nice little guy.
He sure, I
Well,
love
I
Dean.
call him little guy.
Because he's
was-
short too.
He was short like me. So.
Dean was a character too.
And back in, he was one heck of a
Racquetball player. Yeah, wasn't he the champion of? Or didn't he
Him
hold
and
Steve
Smith.
Steve Smith.
They were state champions.
Yeah.
Team. Yeah.
Dean still lives in Memphis, and I think Steve does too.
I believe so.
That was a bunch of a nice group of guys to be around, and I don't think I ever had a crossword with any of them.
No.
Everybody got along because you knew, you got along. Anybody that started the whiny stuff got left behind.
Yep.
It had its good times and it had its bad times. It had its pretty good times and it had its horrible times. But in all, you know, that was our life. So.
But I think that'll wind her up
For all the guys.
for all the guys.
All right.
We'll start with.
Loved every one of them.
That's right, we did. We had
And their wives and
Yeah.
and their kids.
kids
You know.
and all. You know, we just wasn't really. You just might say we were one family. That's all.
Well, it was like when.
We had, you know, our agreements and disagreements and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
But
never.
overall, nothing really, you know.
That's how I met, when I got to meet Ann Margaret. She come riding up on her big, was it a Triumph?
Yeah.
To Joe and Joni's house for dinner. She had just gotten back from Vietnam, so on a tour with, I believe, Bob Hope.
I hope, yeah.
But outside of that group, and there was a lot of them and their families, we didn't have a lot of friends because we didn't have time.
No.
Other than our, you know, immediate family, we didn't really see that many people other than the fans. We have friends that were fans back then that are still dear friends to us today, like Debbie Brown and Tom and Shirley and Alan Wade, and I mean it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah. A lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if we missed anybody's name,
Sorry, because yeah, and I was trying to think of somebody else I just saw recently, but you know they were friends of ours from the early days when we were just going together. Donna Lewis, you know, all of them are just. So many of them that would come to the gate and hang out at the gate and go to the movies and stuff like that. A lot of them moved to Memphis because of Elvis.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess we can wrap this one up, and it sounds like we need to check on the weather anyway, because I got a text from home that it's hailing and stuff, so we'll check it, and then we might get into some questions for the next few videos.
Okay. Sound good.
All right.
Okay.
What we always say.
Elvis fans
Elvis
matter.
doesn't matter. Yeah, Elvis fans
Matter.
matter.